Hello everyone. I think it might get a bit dark by the time I've finished this video. I was waiting till everybody went out. I don't know why, I'm feeling shy about making videos when other people are in the house, and probably while I'm making the video Ben's going to arrive back, but never mind. Let's see if I can crack through. What I wanted to talk about today, the title I was going to give this is a phrase that I'm actually feeling a bit kind of uncomfortable about using, because in a job situation that I was in, it really got overused, and you've probably seen it already because I've probably titled the video this, but it's work-life balance. I'll tell you the story about why I'm feeling like, not that phrase. In my IT work, which is usually training people on various Microsoft Office packages and Visual Basic in Excel and Access and that kind of thing, and also building databases and systems for people. One of the things that I used to do was the induction courses for the BBC. So that was when they ran them in London, and now they've moved them up to Manchester. But the area that I was involved in, you know, they would do the usual things like health and safety and that kind of thing, but they would do the induction course over a 2-day period, and they would also introduce people to the different media output that the BBC have, like video, audio, like radio, and also the BBC have got an amazing website, so that they would call that interactive, so basically making a web page that's interactive. So I was working on the interactive side of things, showing people how to use Photoshop, Dreamweaver, and little bits of JavaScript to do quizzes and calculate the results and that sort of thing. So we would do the second day, and that would be called a tri-media day. But the day before, at the end of the day, they would do a little thing called an audience insighting exercise. And this is where there would be a group of like 6 people, and they would pick one person in the group and ask them a load of questions about their life and try to get something like quirky and unique that you could make a program about. It could be like a TV program, a video, or a radio program, or a website. Well, they had to do all 3, and you would get 3 groups together, and the 3 different ideas that people had come up with would then get voted for, and then they would make a video, a radio program, and a website about this one thing. Now, because, I don't know whether it was because people were just starting a new job, a lot of the time, instead of finding that one quirky thing, like what it was like being brought up in a treehouse or something like that, no, we never had that, but you know, occasionally there were like quite interesting things. People would kind of distill down and kind of generalise everything the person had talked about. And because people were starting a new job, a lot of the time the phrase work-life balance would get picked as the title for the programme. Or light bulb moment, that was another one. And as trainers we used to kind of dread it when the list of ideas came up, and every week there would be work-life balance or light bulb moment. I think because people have just come into a new job, so they're either struggling with work-life balance, or they left their previous job because their work-life balance was out of kilter, or sometimes people came on the induction course after they'd been working at the BBC for a while, so maybe their work-life balance had got out of kilter then, or they decided to change jobs because they'd had a light bulb moment about their life and its purpose. I don't know. Anyway, that was the long ramble, but I'm in a phase of life which gets dubbed the sandwich generation, and that really is about work-life balance. And as you know, I've been quite involved in the care for my parents, and then my mum has passed away, and I'm still quite involved in doing stuff with my dad because he's not allowed to drive at the moment. He could apply for his licence again, but he seems to be hesitating, which is fine with me because I love spending time with him. Oh, I've just seen a beautiful rainbow. I wonder where's my vlogging camera. Do a shot of the rainbow and insert it because it's so beautiful. now I'm probably going to be out of focus. And the sandwich generation is that generation that are caught between looking after elderly relatives and their own children. And now I'm going into kind of a new phase because Darcy has moved into student accommodation. She started her degree course. And I've got the opportunity of doing a bit more work. But I still want to be around to do things with my dad. And also I've got a little secret to tell you. You might have guessed from our hints, especially when we were away for the weekend in the West Country, but we're going to be grandparents in March. I'm just making a little quiet secret hint at that. It's a bit more than a hint, I've told you now. Because Hilary and Adam don't want to announce it on social media. So I'm not going to do a headline video all about it. But you know, these vlogs are about my life. My video channel is about my life. And it's going to be apparent. So yeah, and it is relevant to this video and work-life balance. Anyway, I had sent my CV out because I'm going to be able to increase the amount of work I do, which has always been freelance and contract work. So for some reason, somebody contacted me about a full-time permanent job, and it just seemed like really perfect for me. And I mentioned it to my dad, and he seemed, you know, quite positive. My dad's always positive. He's a very positive person. But when I mentioned it to Hilary, she was like, "Oh, is that what you really want to do? Work full-time? Permanently? Don't you want to spend one day a week looking after your grandchild while I go back to work?" So I thought, okay, that's what she has in mind. But also, yeah, I would really like to. So that job doesn't seem to have come to anything, and I am actively contacting training companies that I used to work for before I went to Brazil, and I think it's just really worked well for me all these years. I started in 1990, can you believe it? I'm working freelance. It's just been perfect with a family because I can do 1 day a week, 2 days a week, 3 days a week. Training is great. Development is a little bit more kind of like pressured because, you know, you've then got to finish the product. So training is just ideal because you can go in, do the course, maybe it's a 2-day course, but at the end of the 1 or 2 days, you go home again, you never see those people again, or you might see them on the advanced course if they've been on an introductory course, but you don't take your work home with you, basically is what it is. It has been a really good option for work-life balance. Now I need to check my notes because I'm forgetting what I was going to talk about. I'm not really sure what this video is about in terms of a lesson. I'm trying to find what the lesson I've learnt is, except I think it's probably, you know, it is about the work-life balance and your goals fitting in with that. And the thing that I have found so helpful in terms of goals and staying focused, because that could have been a really big distraction going off and doing a full-time job. That would have really set my work-life balance completely out of kilter. And it did come down to thinking about what my current goals are. And the thing that I have found so useful, and I know it's not going to be appropriate for everybody or available to everybody, but is going for coaching. And those of you that have been watching my videos for a while will know that I do seem to struggle with figuring out what my goals are. So I'm just going to share with you the goals that she helped me define. And the important thing for me is to come back to those whenever I feel like I'm losing my focus or getting distracted. And she helped me identify 3 goals. And the first one is to have a stress-free financial system in place, or stress-free financial systems in place. And the purpose of that is to provide a solid foundation from which I can enjoy creativity and life with family and friends. So obviously getting more work in is going to be part of that. Getting the rental property set up is a big part of that. And yeah, just having our budget set up. So I've pretty much got that nailed now, but I do need to be increasing my income from my earning, which I'm now freer to do until the baby arrives. No, I'll still be able to do 2 or 3 days a week. That was just a joke. The second one is freedom to be creative for me. In talking to my coach, I identified, or she helped me identify, that a lot of the goals that I was setting for myself were things that I felt I ought to do, particularly in relation to music, because you have all this training, you start training from an early age, and so you feel obligated to do something with it. And suddenly it becomes a pressure. So I've got to keep in mind, anytime I feel I ought to, I have to, I should, just put it out of my mind. And whenever I feel like I want to, then that's when I know I'm doing it for me. And then the third one, which really fits in with what I'm talking about, is accompanying and supporting others on their journey. And the purpose of that is walking the ridge together. Now, this is a phrase that my coach came up with, but I found it so interesting because many of you will know that my dad was an avid mountaineer, and the week before he'd just been talking about when he and his friend Tom, who you've seen in some vlogs, had been on a ridge in Switzerland somewhere, or maybe Italy, or maybe France. I think it was like a Chamonix area, so it's kind of all three, some of it, isn't it? Anyway, and how they were, roped up and going along in a certain way, and you got to get from A to B, and some Germans who didn't know what they were doing passing them, or maybe it wasn't Germans, it was, I don't know. Anyway, he told me this cool story. And so for her to come up with this analogy about walking the ridge together, I just thought was so cool, because yeah, it's not about rescuing people, doing things for them that they don't want to do. It's that same feeling that you have when you're on a journey together and you're roped up together and you're working in support of one another. So those were very helpful to set, and at each of my sessions we look at where I am in relation to each of those goals. So that has been very good for my general balance of life, and has helped me to make decisions about my work-life balance as well. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Because you are now in on the secret, comment below if you've got this far in the video. Grandma, we love you. I think only people in the UK will get that reference, but I've got to get used to being called Grandma, so you'll be helping me and supporting me with that. See you next time.